Hey, I'm Angie. Welcome to my podcast, Chaotic Harmony. I ran across this saying the other day, and it inspired me. The saying goes like this: one day, you will tell your story of how you overcame what you went through, and it will be someone else's survival guide. Interesting, right? That's what I thought. When I was attending day treatment, a therapist told my group a little story, a story that sticks with me to this day. Now, a woman who was enrolled in their day treatment program a year or so prior to when I was there was struggling with suicidal thoughts late one night. She had nobody to call, and she didn't have any form of transportation besides the public transportation, but it was a little too late for that. So she was literally all alone. She knew she had day treatment the following morning and that they were expecting her there. She also knew she had a ride to get there. She just needed to make it through the night. So this woman sat at her kitchen table with a deck of cards and played a few games of solitaire. She then looked at the clock and realized she made it through her pain for just a few more minutes without doing any harm to herself. She continued to play solitaire. Every minute that went by counted as a victory. She tried like hell to focus only on those cards. A couple minutes turned into a couple hours. Next thing this woman knew, her ride showed up to bring her to day treatment. She may not have slept that night, but she was still alive and didn't have a scratch on her. Those cards saved her life. Now, I'm hoping that story is true, which I know sounds really dark, but hear me out. I want it to be true only because when I'm in my darkest hours, I think of that story and I try like hell to make it, just like that woman did. She was my newfound hope. I would think also like just one more minute, and then a minute would go by. Just one more hour, and then an hour would go by. And soon enough, my thoughts would either get sorted out magically or someone would be available to walk me through them all. And I'm totally lying here. I don't think I've ever magically solved one fucking thing in my life. I just had to throw that out there. But that story of that woman, whether it be true or not, became my survival guide for quite some time now. I never really truly had a full deck of cards on hand due to the many children we have. So I always improvise with other activities. But the moral of the story is, I heard that woman's story and held on to it for dear life. It became a tool for me when I was at my worst. And if that short story I heard in 2013 made that much of a difference in my life, then shit. Maybe that quote that inspired me was spot on. Maybe my story, as crazy or uncrazy as it is, can impact someone just enough to inspire them to hold on for dear life and ride out that shitstorm. In End the Stigma, Episode 8, I go over some parts of my mental health journey. I'd like to note here that I was still very, very new to this podcasting stuff when it was first published. But if you hadn't listened to it, no worries. I can sum it up for you real quick. In 2013, I was feeling unstoppable until I was stoppable. I was placed on a hold at a psych ward, and my life has been different ever since. I was diagnosed with bipolar 1 disorder, PTSD, depression, anxiety, ADHD, and the newest one, BPD, borderline personality disorder. With that, I was prescribed a handful of meds in the morning and a handful of meds at night, along with mandatory day treatment because I tried to die by suicide, and talk therapy, which I did end up quitting because I don't like people telling me what to do. I didn't learn much while attending day treatment, but I have my excuses for that. They may or may not be valid. but they are mine. And last but not least, I briefly talk about my experience with talk therapy. Like I said, it didn't go very well. See, I told you I'd be real quick. In that episode, I basically told the world that I was mentally unstable and left it at that. Yeah, that's how I normally roll. I just throw bombs out there and run away. Which in reality, it is true. I was properly diagnosed, hospitalized many times, and somewhat completed all necessary treatments. And now I say somewhat because very loosely. And I still take prescribed medications. What I didn't get into in that episode was everything else. Like, what are my coping skills? Who is my support system? And the biggest one, my worst enemy. I should start off with my worst enemy. It just so happens to be the culprit to all of my problems. And I mean pretty much all of them. My own mind. My mind is running all the damn time, and it can get quite exhausting, if I'm going to be honest. Just the other day, my husband and I were taking a drive, and like usual, I was talking his ear off. The subject that day was my medication. Kinda. Now, for the last 10 years, I have been on the same medication for anxiety, and my dose never changed. Yeah, throughout the past 10 years, I found myself riding the crazy train every once in a while, but still, I'd like to say, or dare I say, I was tolerable. Kinda, maybe. Once again, I'd like to say that I was tolerable. I'll stick with that. That's my story. But in the beginning of December, this last December, I met a new psych doctor that told me all the risks that this anxiety medicine has and instructed me to wean off of it. Now, I didn't like the risks that were listed off. And to be honest, I completely agreed with this doctor. I just didn't agree with the timing. So I waited until after Christmas was over, and then I started the process. I know my own body well enough to know that it wasn't going to be a trip to the park. What I didn't know was how much it was going to affect my worst enemy. My husband expressed to me how he has seen a change in me recently. And it wasn't until that nice long ride with him that I realized I might actually be going out of my goddamn mind. And I'm not even off the anxiety medicine yet. I am still like halfway through the weaning process. Now, you might be asking yourself, Angie, what makes you think you are going out of your goddamn mind? And I would be happy to answer that for you. Please, let me explain a little. The very small filter I once had is gone. It fucked off somewhere, and now I'm making enemies with everyone, including, but not limited to, my own children. Shit, our 3 animals are probably pissed off at me for something, for all I know. Or at least my mind is saying all this. I have had many conversations with myself on this subject, and it might possibly be another reason to add to the how I lost my damn mind list. Who has full-blown conversations with themselves? I do. I do. And until that conversation with my husband, I thought that was normal. Well, apparently it's not. But at the same time, is my husband normal? I mean, he's with me, so yeah, I really don't know if I should be going to him for any advice because he's with me. But the worst part is my face will be looking at, a person or the situation and saying everything that's in my mind. And that doesn't help me, not one bit. And trying to stop all of this is damn near impossible. So now I am stuck. Do I stay away from the ones I love until I figure out how to communicate? Or do I fuck around and find out? I mean, honestly, at this point, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells with everyone, and I may have been the one that put the eggshells there in the first place. I already have one child that isn't speaking to me at the moment, and it's actually crushing me. It really is. I'm not sure it would be a great idea for me to add more. But this crazy mind of mine goes straight to the next thought. Well, that's one less child that will be hurt when you leave this earth. Dark. I know, right? That's the problem. I don't want to die, but consistently tell myself that everyone else around me would be better off without me. I am a burden. I'm a headache. I'm a mind fuck. Life would be a lot easier on everyone if I didn't exist. I literally argue with myself over this topic all the time. It's a never-ending cycle that consumes me way more than it should, ever. My mind doesn't just stop there, though. I can take everyone's words and replay them over and over in my head until those words are against me. Someone could say, I'm fine. And whatever mood I am in will determine what I believe to be true. A lot of times that I'm fine will turn into, Angela, I don't need you, which is why I'm avoiding you by saying I'm fine. Like I said, it's a never-ending cycle. One that I truly thought everyone goes through, but recently found out the very opposite. I also tend to assume people are going to leave me. And the worst part about that is the only reason they would leave me is because of me. I tend to push people away without trying. I do it so much that it can be considered one of my top superpowers. And it doesn't even make any sense. If I don't want them to leave or take a break from me, then I shouldn't make it easy for them to do so. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? But it's not. My mind works in ways I wish it didn't. I will take things personally and assume the worst. For example, my daughter's birthday was just this Wednesday, the 15th. I texted and talked to her days prior. I knew she was busy on her birthday. I have tried like hell to make long-lasting traditions in this family, and birthdays happen to be one of them. I make my children and my husband their favorite meal, and we have cake and whatever else they desire. It doesn't matter how old they are, that's what I do. My twin boys just celebrated their 21st birthday at the end of December, and I did the same for them. So in my mind, I was going to make my daughter's favorite meal, which has been chili for the last couple of years, and we were going to have cake. Maybe even listen to some music and have a few drinks. Again, all of this was in my mind. She's a fully grown adult and has every right to make her own plans on her birthday, and I understand that. But then that stupid Life 360 app that she installed on my phone popped up, and I saw where she was. She was somewhere else. Somewhere else meaning not with me. And because of the mood I was in, I took it personally as I possibly could take it. I gave birth to her. I'm the reason why she's on this earth. She should be wanting to celebrate with me. Instead of, waiting before I said something stupid to her about it, or better yet, not even saying anything at all, I ran on my current emotions, fucking stupid mind. And her response to my text message was not what I wanted to read. And it actually made me feel real shitty. But to be honest, I needed it. It was, sorry, Abigail, but I'm reading it. I don't understand why you'd be butthurt, because I told her I was butthurt. I told you I had things going on. I said I was going to my aunt's because the last time I gave you a list of excuses, you didn't want or I didn't want you to be upset again. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but you keep thinking I'm pushing you off, and I'm not. And you also think I'm being weird when I really haven't been. That was her message. It was her birthday, and here I was, stuck in my own damn mind, assuming her having plans meant she didn't want to see me and didn't care about me. Now, reading that text message that she sent me stopped me in my tracks, which was a really good thing. I didn't want her to feel like shit on her fucking birthday due to something that I did or said. I guess what I'm trying to get at is my mind always is racing with thoughts that I can't control. Am I being judged? Why am I being judged? Did this person just look at me why did they look at me like that? Do they hate me? Am I a bad mom? I am a bad wife, I know, but am I a bad wife now? No matter what I say or do, my mind believes I'm unlovable and that I'm a waste of space. Now, just admitting that out loud sounds like a sad way to live. I don't care for it, and I hope I figure it out one day, seriously. But until then, honestly, if you see me staring off into space while drooling, just walk away. Literally, just give me a little bit of dignity. I'm busy making life miserable with everything in my mind, and I can't help how I look while I'm doing it, okay? So who is my support system? That is a very good question. I have my husband, and I'm very thankful for that. I actually feel bad for him after just hearing myself explain how my mind works sometimes, but he grounds me. It's hard to explain, but he can see where my thoughts are kind of leading to, and somehow he redirects them to a more positive direction. He isn't a man of many words, and yet he tends to have the most impact on me, if that makes any sense. He says all the right things with the few words he has. I also have my children. Some are more helpful than others. I don't want to be the parent that needs emotional support all the time, not allowing them to have the space they need for any support from me. So I try not to scare them away and try being the key word. And I also have a few friends that I know just enough. I distance them for the most part because I'm afraid they will run. Truth is, when it comes to a support system, you have to make sure you choose wisely. I have learned in the past that if you have the wrong person in your circle, all of the things that you've talked about and all that will be aired out to other people, causing drama. The phrase, keep your friends close and your enemies closer, does not and should not apply here when it comes to your support system. Be very selective. That is like the strongest advice I could give anybody. What are my coping skills? When life seems to be handing me a buttload of lemons, I find it hard to function. Getting out of bed will seem like a huge task when I'm in that kind of mindset. So my coping skills can vary depending on my mood. Well, they do vary. Getting out of bed and taking a hot shower is one of them. I try to look at it as washing away the negative. In that shower, I try to hype myself up, get my brain focusing on what I'm doing and not doing, what I wanted to do, all that. I want to get my brain focusing on what I'm doing in the moment, not anything else. And once I'm out of the shower, I put on like a nice outfit, brush my hair, and if I'm in the mood, I put a little bit of makeup on. I only used like eye makeup and very little of it, so. But either way, it'll help me a little bit. Once that is all done, 99% of the time, I will feel a little better. It might not sound like much when I'm in that state of mind, but it's a lot. It's self-care, and I'm telling you right now, get in the hot shower. I love food. I am a foodie, so I use that. And mind you, I was over 350 pounds, so yeah, I don't suggest that to anybody at all. It's not something I would want others to use because it is a terrible habit to form. It's very unhealthy and all that. But I do emotionally eat. It's like my best friend and worst enemy. Writing helps me as well. I write a lot more than I actually thought. It is nice to have a space that is completely mine to air out all of my frustrations. That space that is not judged by anyone, so I can freely voice myself. I find it helpful to even go back and reread what I wrote in the past. I like to see where my mind was at that time and if there was any healthy changes or what I could change. Or just laugh at how ridiculous I was at the time. That happens a lot more than I'd like. Either way, writing has been a huge help for me. And if you don't do it, I honestly dare you to try. I never thought I would be writing in a journal at my age, but here I am, still trying to figure myself out one page at a time. I also love to get lost in a good book. I love doing art projects every once in a while. I love watching movies and true crime. All of those and so much more are my coping skills. If I didn't have any of those, I'm not sure where I would be right now. If you are a mental health warrior like myself, then I highly suggest that you find a healthy coping skill. It might end up saving your life one day. Kind of like that never-ending game of solitaire that I brought up in the beginning of this episode. Mental illness may not be understood by many people. It may feel like the most lonely road that you've ever been down, but it doesn't have to be. I had to learn how to set boundaries, advocate for myself, know when to listen to advice, and accept that the only way that I can move forward is to push myself. I have been struggling a lot lately, and I mean a lot. And I decided to listen to my own damn advice, which is very rare. I do not do it. It's very rare. I love to spew the advice and not take it. But I listened to myself for once, kind of. And I sat down and I started writing this episode. Now, it took me a lot longer than I would have liked it to take. But I did it. I didn't give up. And now I'm recording it. And then I'm going to publish it. I consider that a victory. I just hope it all makes sense when it comes out. Either way, mental health warriors, I'm with you. I got your back. And hopefully, if you need any assistance with anything, and your own mind is not helping you out, contact me. And you can go through Facebook. You can message me through, there's a link attached to this episode, or find a friend or even a stranger. A lot of times strangers are really cool to talk to. But either way, you're not alone. It's a lonely road, but you're not alone. And I know that don't make sense, but makes sense to me, so that's all that matters. Either way, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, go check out my Facebook page, Chaotic Harmony, and give her a like. I need those. If you would like to help me along this journey, there is a support the show link attached to this episode. I appreciate every single one of you and hope you have a great weekend. Now, I'm here in Wisconsin and apparently it's supposed to be pretty damn cold the next couple of days. So I will be cozying up to a good book. I hope you find a good book too and stay warm, okay? Last but not least, embrace the weird and make normal feel boring. Bye.